leaf sheet complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme I'm dumping. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Risk something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I had before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war.
Well, good evening and welcome to Monday night's presentation of the Alternative Energy Hour on Wide Awake News. Now, as quite often happens in Seat of Your Pants broadcasting, the fellows that I had planned to bring in tonight are all in the air at about 30,000 feet. I thought I was going to have at least two or three fellows in tonight who would give us a lessons learned on this breakthrough energy movement conference that was held in Holland over this past weekend. As it turns out, I managed to find one of the people who I was interested in talking to tonight between airplanes in an airport in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He's right now sitting on the floor just outside the men's room of the airport. In any case, Mark Dansie, welcome to the presentation tonight. And frankly, sir, I want to thank you for bailing me out, because if you hadn't agreed to find a power outlet somewhere in that airport that was near a Wi-Fi site, it would have been me talking to myself tonight. How you doing?
Much travelled. I just got off a 12-hour flight, and as you can hear, I'm at an airport, and I can't get away from this lady. It doesn't matter where you go; she keeps going through the PA.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm in.
This is the lady announcing the flights, eh?
Yeah, I can't get away from it. I've tried going everywhere. I could go and sit in the toilet, I guess. They've even got speakers in there.
Would you have would you have a power outlet in there?
No, I'm fine. My computer was a bit run down. That's why I had to go find a power outlet. Anyway, I'm fine. They're not that often, which is okay. But when they do a scheduling. Anyway, a bit about the conference. It was very, very, very well organised, very professional. Big film crews, sound crews, the whole bit. A fair bit of media, and it will be a DVD I can thoroughly recommend. So when it comes out to watch. And they're quite happy if people buy one. Just buy one. They can post it, do what they like, broadcast, do anything they like with all the others. So they're pretty cool.
Well, now,
However,
what function were you serving in the conference? Now, if I understand it correctly, you were something.
Speaker.
Oh, you were a speaker. I thought you were also something of an official for this conference.
No, I was a speaker. They wanted somebody to actually bring a working energy device, break energy through energy device. So I brought my flashlights. Unfortunately, one of those, and one I was going to demonstrate, got taken out of my luggage by your organisation called the TSA. They left a little note. I was with Joel Garvin in my room. I said, hey, I showed this flashlight, mate. And he said, here's the note. And I said, where's the flashlight? So your government's got my flashlight, Gary.
Well, the toilet seat administrator took your water-powered flashlight.
Yeah, I had a spare, luckily. It was a big old dog. But I also took a disc, an actual owner unit generator or a solid-state generator. And what was amazing at this conference was some people were excited about that because it's the first time, and this has been validated by mainstream science, tested for years, that this is proof you can draw from the ambient or whatever other name you want to get. I short it out, it'd start charging. Short it out, it'd start charging. And not many people were that interested, but there was a huge lot of people interested in 9/11, the free energy device that brought down the buildings and defining Mother Gyra's femininity and all this.
Now, wait a minute. Now, this conference was billed as the Breakthrough Energy Movement Conference. I mean, that's the way it was billed. That's the way it was promoted. And you're telling me it was...
they want to embrace the spiritual, the historical, the social, and the kumbaya as well. So they did.
Okay, now do I hear some slight disappointment in your voice?
No, I was very happy with the conference. There's some great speakers, and I got to meet up. I've got to say, your radio program's very well listened to in Europe. Many people said they'd heard me on your radio program over there. So yeah, there were some great speakers there. Joel Garvin. There was one of the most impressive, I actually thought, and I got to get to know him a little bit, was David Gibbons. It was a bit more on the philosophy of change. There's a lot of the philosophy of change. Dr. Thorsten Ludwig, what a great guy. He's sort of my counterpart in many ways over in Europe. Great speaker. Sterling spoke and I didn't boo, so that was good. And there's some great speakers. And there was another guy there with this energy device. And this one had me beat, but it works. As far as I'm concerned, it does. It was a device it's like these discs and coils, if you like. Well, not really coils, in this box. No electricity. You can't measure anything coming out. And you put it in a house or a building and you point it to the wall and it stops the damp coming up. You don't get water in your climbing up your walls anymore.
Now, okay, that sounds a little woo-woo out there to me. Is there any science behind it?
There is nothing we can do to prove it, apart from what they do is when they put it in a building, they measure, they put probes in the walls and you can see, where the water's going. And he sold 49,000 of these. And they're in Parliament buildings. He's won national awards from the government. And it's been taken to court, challenged the validity of it and all this. He's a real character. He's like out of a movie. But they've sold 49,000 of them, and they're not cheap. And they work in conjunction with some other methods. But when you put it there, it stops the water rising up your walls. So I have to take that out. You say, show me the data, Gary. I say that. Well, I've got to tell you, he's got the data to back it. Now, it is woo-woo, but, hey, it works.
Well, that's what I keep saying about Keshe. I could forgive Keshe a lot of sins if he'd just come through with my flying car and robot slave. I'm a very forgiving guy.
Yeah. Well, Keshe was invited to the conference and declined. I think his UFO had a flat tire or something.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm quite happy to accept things if there's the data. And this guy, he's got the data. He's got a huge company selling these things. I mean, they sell for about $10,000. You multiply 49,000 by $10,000. So somebody's paying good money for him. And he's in several countries and he's won national awards and science awards. And, mate, you can't always explain everything. But if the data's there, I have to accept it. So I liked it. I'm not saying everybody's got to make up their own mind, Gary, but he's certainly got the evidence there. And they actually do that when they install it with a client. They actually monitor over several months the progress and everything else and the improvements.
Well,
so that was interesting.
We're going to hear music in the background here pretty soon. They're going to be sending us into a break just momentarily. But was there any other hardware there besides that guy's widget and your stuff?
Just my stuff and that guy's widget. That was it. All the rest was, social, economical. But they're good listeners. I really enjoyed David Gibbons. I also enjoyed quite a few other, Dr. Brooks Agnew, Dr. Nick Begnich. They were all great speakers. But what really got me was that they're all theorising about this, Gary, about when somebody comes through with it. I had the device there that actually definitively showed, if you like, energy from the vacuum or ZPG, I'll say ambient, and they would have known if it fell over them. It's like they don't want it. We had a lot of their talking conspiracies and asking us. I sat on a press conference.
Well, here in the South, we're not quite as polite, Mark. We would say that they wouldn't know it if it came up and bit them on the butt.
Yeah, okay, but during the press conference that we're getting, what evidence of suppression you've seen, and every single speaker that does what I do, hands up.
All right, Mark, there's the bumper music. To the audience, please do be patient with us while we take this blatantly commercial interruption, and we'll be back with Mark Dansie for just one more segment before he's got to catch an airplane out of the airport in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. We're in break right now. The radio audience can't hear us during this during the commercial break period, but the people watching on Justin TV can still hear our discussion. So once again, I would caution you not to say anything that you don't want repeated. The walls do have ears.
So, can I ask the TSA for my flashlight back?
Yeah, TSA, give Mark his damn water-powered flashlight back. I mean, that's pretty lame. No explanation. I take it. I mean, we hadn't. It
was just that my bag had been inspected and there's no flashlight, and I went, but they didn't take the other one. So. I don't know.
So, I mean, it's a freaking flashlight. I mean, was there anything intimidating about this thing? I mean, did it have 14 blades that came out of it or something,
Well, it didn't have batteries in it. That would have fooled them, and it had a magical power stick through it and had some pretty exotic cathode material that would have got them probably excited. So... Anyway, it doesn't worry me. It just was inconvenient. Like, you're in your hotel room the night before you're supposed to be presenting it. This is the one I was going to hand around the audience, and they could fill it up with water and do what they liked with it. And it's not there. So that was funny.
Well,
but no, this is by far the best conference. Everybody said that. It was so professional.
So as far as
really,
the organization, those who were in charge of putting the thing together, they did a nice job.
Not a nice job. This is way beyond nice. They had a huge crew, everything. I think one mistake was they did it to get more video. They had 2 streams going. So people. But you get the DVD. I only saw 2 presentations in the end. I'm going to get the DVD. I was that busy doing interviews on German TV. Was the funniest one I did. We had a good laugh on that one. So
you're not just trying to boost my ego. There's actually a European audience that listens to my stuff.
There is. They come up to me. People were singling me out. To the point I used to have 4 or 5.
Oh man, I think I might have lost you.
5 waiting. I'm here.
Okay, I think you're back now.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm using.
Yeah, I know. We've got the 2 tin cups and a string internet, and occasionally that string gets wet. You're too close to the men's room. Somebody is peeing on the string.
I'm sorry. Hey, how long do these ads go for?
Oh, this one's... All right, now I want to thank everybody for hanging with us during the commercial interruptions. During the break, I continued my conversation somewhat with Mark Dansie, and I'll tell you, there were moments there where I thought for sure I was going to lose his connection, but I think for at least the time being, we still have Mark Dansie on the line. Are you there, Mark?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the 2 tin cups and a string are working for right now.
Hey, it could go any time. I'm sorry, but you did catch me on the hop, literally. However, I want to say this conference was the best organised by far. The crew that put it together, this was so professional, Gary. The crew, they had people, proper drivers there, the sound stage, the theatre, the catering, everything was first class, including their huge audio-video team. It was just brilliant. I got to tell you, we're all impressed. We're all going, wow, this takes it to a new level. And they're offering they want to get more of these breakthrough energy conferences going. Now, a little bit disappointed there wasn't more products, but there's a reason for that, Gary. A lot of stuff doesn't work, as you know. So they phoned me up at the last minute and said, you got something that actually works? And I said, yeah, I'll bring it over. However, there are other speakers were worthwhile listening to. Even if they didn't have an energy device, they're very worthwhile listening to. They opened my mind up quite a bit. But you had all these other groups there. Occasionally you get people who are more interested in talking about 9/11 or the Occupy Wall Street or busting the banks. But the good thing was all the different organisations were there, and I managed to push through something they've adopted, a set of international standards that are a guide for free energy or breakthrough energy developers to actually use. Knowing that they're going to be tested like that. If you're doing a Rossi type device, there's a calorimetric test and this is the way we're going to do it, or if it's a gravity device, or if it's an electronic device, yes, here's the procedure you should follow. Throw away your $5 Tandy electronics meter. We're going to use an oscilloscope if you've got an AC or a pulse DC there. And they all embrace that because they want to reach out and have credibility. So if people come with something, before they're going to give it their stamp or push it on to investors or scientists or media, it will have these international standards, a bit like you would have with anything else. And I felt really good about that. They all said it was critically important. Otherwise, you end up with a 5 that keeps changing each week. And Sterling was the one that was pushing for it, believe it or not, as well. He jumped on board. And
that's Sterling Allen of PESN.com, who tends to be the hyper optimist when it comes like you say, the absolute cheerleader when it comes to shall we say, cutting edge energy technologies. Now, Mark, one of the things that kind of puzzles me is that with all the action we've had in low energy nuclear reactor stuff, there was nobody there showing an LENR type device.
No, there was somebody talking about it, and in fact one of the guys I met has bought one of Rossi's licenses. I was going to buy him a sympathy card, but I didn't have time. But I let Sterling do a filmed interview with me, and that was fine. And he was trying to sing Kumbaya to me, I think, and I couldn't find a pie. But anyway, Sterling was there, and there was a whole lot of other really, really good people that I got to network with, and people I've known for years but had never met. And there's some really good people doing a lot of good efforts. Moray King, of course, he's been at it for a few years, and he did a good talk. Joel Garvin, I got to meet up with him and had very much pints of beer with him, actually. We drank a few pints.
Well, obviously, Joel Garvin is not a Mormon, because I understood that the Maury King and the Sterling Allen, because of their tight Mormon ties, would not be inclined to imbibe in recreational arm bending. So apparently Joel Garvin is not of that cloth, and was indeed willing to get down and hoist a few, eh?
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. Actually, I really admire him. And but there's a whole lot of other really good people. Like I said, Thorsten Ludwig, what a guy. He is one of those people I respect, because he's always at the leading edge of researching, testing, and studying these technologies.
One of the things that kind of puzzles me, kind of like the lack of LENR, I'm a little bit puzzled that you showed your fancy little disc gizmo, because I was of the impression that was still kind of hush-hush under wraps. Now, I kind of knew you were working on it because, We talked about
Well,
it,
it's not
confidentially
mine.
early on, but I'm a little surprised you were permitted to show that. Did you sneak it out of the lab while nobody was looking?
No, I actually don't own that. It's not my company, but the people who do it work out of the lab, and we share some resources. And I said, can I take this one? They said, you can talk about the first one, which I did, and explained how it worked, the nuclear spin one. But this one I had to call XXX. I had it there, people could see it, it was running up the voltage, shorting out, and I could just tell the performance that it works better in cold, right down to liquid nitrogen. It's not a battery, and it's drawing the, if you like, the electrons from the ambient. And I was able to go through a whole lot of performance criteria.
All right, Mark Dansie, this is our halfway break point. I think
we can do another one. They're not boarding yet.
They're not boarding, so I can have you for one more segment.
Absolutely.
All righty, we're going to go ahead and take this break, folks, and we'll be back right after these commercial announcements.
Don't you invade my home. Best off if you hang outside.
I'm going to actually be packing up my stuff. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. By the way, truth be told, I'm getting accusations of plagiarism from the chat room, because that question about the disc came in from Zero Fossil Fuel, and yes, I indeed steal liberally with both hands. I stole his questions and represented it as if it were my own. But, it was a damn fine question, and, it was something that kind of puzzled me, because I was of the impression that was kind of top secret stuff that nobody was supposed to know about.
It still is. I was able to demonstrate it, but not talk about it much.
It's kind of a fine line, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm just packing up some stuff. Hey, the other thing, I've got to talk about this as soon as we come on. The thousands of push bikes. I'm not kidding, mate. Wall-to-wall push bikes.
Now,
you hardly see a vehicle.
For those of us who have no idea what a push bike is, what the hell is a push bike?
A cycle, pedal cycle.
How does that differ from what I would consider the normal, average, everyday bicycle?
It's a bicycle. Depends what country you come from. We call them push bikes in Australia.
Ah, okay. Here
I'm going walkabouts. If we're coming on, I should be all right. I've got plenty of juice in my computer now. I'm going to make sure this is the right flight. Like you said, I don't want to miss it. I'm still okay. I'm walking with my laptop.
Now, what is your final destination on this trip?
Are we back on air yet?
No, we're still on commercial. I think we're on commercial for about another 3, maybe 4 minutes.
Okay. Gilligan's Hideout. It's a solar-powered hut, absolute beachfront. Takes 20 minutes, 3 hours by vehicle going through jungles and coastal stuff by car. Then it's 20 minutes by boat. There's nobody else there. But a solar-powered hut and coconut trees and stuff like that. So I just got to check this is my flight, mate, because I'd hate to see if I'm at the wrong gate. I'll just be a minute.
They rerouted your plane while you were sitting next to the men's room yakking with me.
No, change the gate. Just want to make sure. Hang on, I've got to get... You there, mate?
I'm still here. You haven't lost me yet. Apparently that string attached to the 2 tin cans.
Can it be knocking at my door? Make no sound.
And we're back from the break with Mark Dansie, who has just made the trek from the men's room over to the gate to make sure that his plane hasn't already left without him. So what kind of shape are you in, Mark? Have you been able to confirm your flight in the proper gate?
Yeah, I got to go through security again, but that's easy over here. Yeah.
You don't have any flashlights with you, do they? Because apparently flashlights have these guys have an affinity. These security checkpoint guys have an affinity for flashlights, especially if they're water powered.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that got me in Hilversum, where we were in Holland, is everybody had a bicycle, you called them.
Yeah.
Everybody. You'd see families, groups. In fact, Saturday night, I was down this street, Main Street. There was not one car. Would have been 600 bikes, all at the bars, restaurants and clubs. And you see people riding them everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Now, if you overindulge and hop on your bicycle and are driving, say, somewhat erratic, does that garner a ticket the same as if you were in a motor vehicle, or do they give you a pass because you're pedaling?
I don't know. But I got to tell you,
you didn't test that, huh?
No. But I got to tell you, the roads are set up for the bikes. Cars are secondary. So you see families, you see groups of teenagers heading out to their parties, all on their bikes. I mean, thousands of them. And you go through the side streets in Amsterdam, and you'll see a bike rack, and there'll be 1,000 bikes, just wall to wall, right down the whole street on the bike racks. They don't even lock them. The railway station, you don't see cars, you just see thousands of bikes.
Now, is the public transportation set up so that if you ride your bicycle to a place where you connect with, say, an intercity train or something, I mean, are the public trains set up so you can take your bicycle on the train?
Well, what most of them do is just leave it at the station.
What do they ride when they get to their destination?
I don't know. Anyway, Gary, I recommend people look at that global breakthrough energy movement. There will be a DVD.
The website, I assume, is still globalbem.com, and I assume that, seeing as how they spent a lot of money on AV production, they're going to be selling these DVDs, but for a modest fee. Do you know what the fee is?
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be very cheap, and you buy one and you can distribute them for free to everybody else you like. You just buy the first one. You can copy them, do what you like with them.
Okay.
But I want to explain with the disc. I was allowed to demonstrate it, but I wasn't allowed to tell how it worked. Like, I was able to tell its performance criteria, and that was condition they let me have it. They let me have an old one, not one of the new ones. And I had to keep it on my persons the whole time, not my flashlight. And but there was some interest there. But what struck me most of all, a lot of people, if we actually come up with a device, then all these theorists and all these other people, they're out of a job. That's what I felt like. It's sort of like, what if we actually found this stuff and said, well, there it is there. There's your proof you've been looking for. And it's sort of like confuse some people. But other people, they are very lovely people and very warm and very enthusiastic. And there's a good crowd.
The other point you've got to understand, Mark, is that unfortunately, your little quarter-size disc that just seems to produce electricity from out of nowhere. You can't take this thing and power a house or a car on it. So chances are that's probably... We may be able to soon. See, it's gone from pico to nano to micro. When they're in the millage, you can power anything. So it is progressing. But I'm not allowed to distribute documents on it. But I presented it as solar technology as well, or I didn't actually demonstrate it. The flashlight was a bit of a hit. Everybody thought that was pretty cool. Frankly, I think you've got a commercial success with your water-powered flashlight. Now for the folks in the audience.
Yeah, I hope so.
For the folks in the audience, this is an LED flashlight into which you insert a metallic rod, then you add water. The metallic rod, over a period of time, is indeed consumed, so there's nothing magical about this. There is a consumable that has to be replaced periodically, but the life expectancy of the consumable is considerable, and the manufacturing cost of the consumable is negligible. So for many people in the world, this would be a very practical device, and frankly, for somebody to tuck in, the emergency kit in the trunk of the automobile, this would be a very practical device most anywhere in the world, I would think.
Enough plugging it, Gary. You'll be all right.
It's a good gadget. It's a good gadget.
But
frankly, you deserve to make a lot of money off that thing because it's commercially very viable.
Satisfying these scientists. The scientists, mate, will spend all the money. I tell you that. What's on your shopping list this week? About $1 million. I think I better sell some flashlights first.
Yeah, you better sell some flashlights.
Anyway, it was a brilliant conference. Lots of good people. I highly recommend anybody watch some of the presentations. It was good. Sadly, like the other conferences, there wasn't many devices there that were, you call real. But I think they're going to attract a lot more energy, if you like, of people and real things. But sadly, Gary, I do have to go because luckily, how you got to take your computer out of the bag?
Oh, well, yours is already out of the bag.
I've got about another 3 or 4 minutes. Mine's out of the bag, running. I'm talking to you.
So we're done right now, right?
Yeah, I'm heading to Gilligan's Hideout. That's where I found it.
And I don't suppose there's 2 tin cans and a string from Gilligan's Hideout.
No, there isn't, sir. I've been told there's internet, and apparently an email takes about a day to get through it. So, but it's 20 minutes by boat. There's no phone coverage, and it's solar powered, and it's absolute beachfront with coconut trees. They actually climb up, get your coconuts, and there's nobody else there. It's just a couple of people to help cook, the boat, and this hut with solar power. So that's where I'm going for a few days.
All right. Well, Mark Dansie, I'm going to let you go so you can get to your airplane. Thank you so much for coming in and discussing the conference with us. Now, if you're available, we might try to do this again at a later date where I can get 2 or 3 of you guys together who are at this conference, and we can kind of get different opinions.
I'm off the air for about 10 days from today. Then I'll be back up and resurfacing and heading back to the States. But there's a bit of R&R I'm having. But it was a brilliant conference, some brilliant speakers, not always about energy, but very worthwhile listening to. And the one that impressed me was David Gibbons. He did this, it was like he did a Skype call with Brian O'Leary. Mm-hmm. But some people says, oh, he's connecting to the other side.
All right, Mark. Well, I'll let you go. You go ahead and get through security and get on your airplane. You take care now.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, thanks for the call. And I was glad I was to help out the best I could. And Zero, I can't do the video for that judging competition. I just haven't had time. So to Russ and Zero, just do it without me.
All right, I'll pass that message along. All right, have a good one, Mark. Take care.
Thanks. I really.
All righty, and to the audience, we had kind of an abbreviated presentation tonight. What I had hoped to do is get a couple of different guys together in a conference call and hopefully stimulate something of an argument on this Breakthrough Energy Movement conference that went down in Holland over this past weekend. Usually if you get 2 or 3 of these guys together, each of them with a slightly different opinion, you hear a variety of points of view, and you get a better feel for how the conference went. I think in Mark's mind, he was to summarize, I think he was very pleased with the way the conference was organized. It was very well polished, very nicely done. But I think he was perhaps hidden behind that was slight disappointment that there wasn't a little bit more in the way of nuts and bolts being shown off. In any case, I hear the bumper music in the background. I think we're getting ready to take a short commercial break, and I'll be back all by myself.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here. Wide Awake.
Alrighty, that one kind of snuck up on me. All right, last segment of the show, and I am indeed all on my own. But you know, if you've got 2 cents that you'd like to put into the mix, there is a call-in number. That number is 877-342-6673. I'm going to repeat that. It's 877-342-6673. I would be particularly interested if anybody out there survived the trials and tribulations of this this last couple of storms that came through the Northeast. Particularly anybody in New Jersey who might have suffered through without power for a while. I understand there's still quite a few people in that part of the country that are without power, living life in a primitive fashion. And you know, something like this should make all of us stop and think about how dependent we are on the grid and how fragile that grid is. So it's something to think about. What would you do if your power was out? Some of these folks in the Northeast have been without electricity for a couple of weeks now. The longest I think I've ever had to go without electricity, I think there was I can remember one time when our electricity was out for about a week. And while it was uncomfortable and it was kind of annoying, we got by pretty good because basically, you know, we have a little bit of experience here with Boy Scout campouts. My son was a Boy Scout, so therefore, by definition, I was a Boy Scout for a number of years. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, camping out is not real comfortable, but if you're prepared for it, if you've got a little bit of experience in how to handle it, it's certainly survivable, and you can indeed do quite well without electricity, without all the conveniences that so many of us take for granted every day. But now, just suppose you're in a congested metropolitan area, like, you know, some parts of New Jersey, some parts of New York that were hit hard by this last couple of big storms. You know, in my case, I can go out into my backyard, make a little campfire. I can cook on a campfire. No big deal. I've got a stash of camping type rations, freeze-dried rations that basically, if I can boil some water, I can put something together to eat. I've got enough of that stuff laying around that if the power was out for a couple of months, I wouldn't starve. I'd probably get pretty sick of the same food over and over and over. But you know what? I wouldn't starve. I wouldn't be diving in dumpsters for what somebody else threw away. I wouldn't be going down to the gas station with my pistol trying to, you know, stick somebody up for 5 gallons of gasoline. You know, I would get by just fine. How about you? You know, we take these modern conveniences, particularly electricity, so much for granted. Have you ever thought about maybe setting aside just one weekend, come home from work on Friday night, go down to the circuit breaker box in the basement or wherever it is in your house, flip all the circuit breakers off, and don't turn them back on until the end of the day on Sunday. Just try to get by for a weekend with no electricity. You ever thought about it? You ever thought about practicing for that? You know, I bet you there's a lot of people in New Jersey and New York right now who kind of wish that they had gone through such an exercise. Probably would have been in some experience that served them well. Well, doesn't look like anybody's going to take me up on the phone call. I'll read off that number one more time, just in case my little soliloquy there got you thinking about it. The number is 877-342-6673. And we do have about 6-7 minutes left in the program. So if you've got something you'd like to add to the conversation, please do please feel free to give me a call. These storms that came through the Northeast, there were people killed. I've heard conflicting numbers. I've heard 70 got killed. I heard 120 got killed. At this point, it's hard for me to say for sure, because there seems to be a lot of messing around in the numbers. I heard that right up until just a few days ago, there were quite literally 1 million or more people without electricity. I understand now they got it down to less than 100,000 people without electricity. I understand that volunteers came into the area from all over the region and offered to pitch in and help. Electrical workers from all over came into that area, tools in hand, ready to help, and a lot of them were turned away because they were not union workers. I've heard stories about how the governor decided that he was going to have the marathon. Do have a caller, Adam from Texas. Adam, you want to chime in with your opinion on the discussion here? Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to jump off topic just a little bit, and I want to mention heroes. I'm getting older. I'm 50 years old, dude, and man, all my heroes are dropping off, man. Ernie Borgnine died this last year, and just a lot of people I looked up to all my life. And frankly, recently I've been getting some new heroes, man. Mr. Hendershot, Hr1, man. John B. Wells from over there on Coast, man. There's some people out there that are really fighting for things, and if you look around, there's still some heroes there, man. That's all I wanted to say, man. Thank you, sir.
Well, I appreciate you putting me in such good company, but I'm not sure it's really deserved, But thank you very much for that call. I really do appreciate it. For those in the this fellow was from Texas, as a matter of fact. There was not too long ago a terrible disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, those people didn't lose their electricity; their lights still burned, but their air and their water was hazardous to their health. So the bottom line is emergencies come in all shapes and sizes, all descriptions. I know there's people out there, they're getting some mainstream media press, I guess. We got caller Pat from New York. Well, this might have been somebody who was actually impacted by this, and I'd really like to hear from somebody who was on the front lines. Hey, Pat, we got a couple of minutes here. Why don't you chime in and give us your point of view on it?
Yes, well, initially, Gary, I had thought that perhaps this was going to be another storm where they kind of embellished and tried to, alert the public and, get us mobilized, because we had one before and it wasn't that bad. But I was very happy to say that I'm glad I'm a student of the prepper community, especially on YouTube. And I'm also tend to linger in chat, and I try and pick up what Center and Hunt and a lot of you guys, recommend. You have a lot of skills there. And I try to, deploy some of them over here. So,
give us a couple of specific examples. First of all, were you without power for any length of time?
I was without power for several hours. It kicked off around 9 or 9:30, and I was really quite amazed because I thought we had gotten through it, so it kind of took us by surprise. But I had charged some lanterns that I had earlier, and I also had my oil lamp, and I have a solar generator. So while I did decide to go to bed, I was not without light. And I was very happy. It's very eerie when an urban center, all the lights go off.
Now,
it's very strange.
How close to you were the areas that were hard hit, that were without power for days and days and days? I mean, were any of your friends or relatives impacted to that degree?
Well, there are people out by Coney Island, Sheepshead Bay area, which they told me they had like 5 feet of water in their basement.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I also heard somebody drowned. I don't know if that's accurate, but I heard somebody drowned.
Well, see, that's unfortunate, but we hear a lot of rumors. And of course, from my point of view, I'm just south of Washington, D.C., and we got hit with just, one of the outer bands of it. And I kind of shrugged my shoulder and said, what is everybody in such a panic about? This just isn't that bad. We've seen worse storms than this. Why is everybody talking this thing? Then you start hearing about all these people that have died and people that have been without power for 2 weeks, and holy cow, maybe this thing was, maybe I was just lucky. And it sounds to me, Pat, like you were one of the fortunate ones too. I mean, you only lost your power for a matter of a few hours. I mean, that's tolerable.
Yeah, so people got hit far, far worse. And I had a coworker who has another coworker whose kids were swept away in Staten Island, and they found the bodies of the children. So there was a great deal of impact and tragedy out there. We were fortunate.
Now, in your case, give us some specifics of what preparations you had in place. Oop, Pat, I'm sorry. I wanted to get some specifics from you, but they're chasing me out of here with the music. Thank you so much for your input on this. I really do appreciate you calling, but I think we're going to have to close out the show for the evening. Folks, that's the end of the Alternative Energy Hour for Monday, November 12th. Charlie McGrath will be along in just a moment to give you his hour of the show. You have a good evening now.
My dad, he's got a lot of fun. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside: when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die.